Hi students, we have already discussed about the diet for a normal patient as well as what are the modifications to be carried out in a normal diet to suit a disease condition. Now we are moving to the next session, diet in common diseases. Before that we can go what is a common normal condition. The five pillars of a healthy head to maintain health is the balanced diet, adequate sleep, digestive health, regular exercise and positive attitude towards life. These are the five pillars that maintain our health. When any one of these go wrong, we can be sick or we can be diseased. Mac Carrison says that we have forget the most fundamental of all rules that the right kind of food is the most important single factor in the promotion of a health. So we have to consume the right kind of food, and the wrong kind of food is the most important single factor in the promotion of diseases that cause the diseases. So we are discussing about the disease condition and that is caused by the wrong kind of food. So it should be cured or to make it to a normal. We have to follow a correct procedure for the diet. First is the diarrhea. All of you know what is diarrhea. Diarrhea is the loose, watery, unformed stools are excreted by a patient. In diarrhea, absorption and digestion of nutrients is lowered considerably. This disease is very common among children and old persons. Diarrhea is one of the digestive disorders. And causes of diarrhea, first is the malnourishment, that is protein energy malnutrition is an example for malnourishment. In the malnourishment cases, there may be a chances to develop diarrhea. Then unhealthy environment, the slums and the unhygienic conditions is a major reason for diarrhea. One of the major causes is the infections by the bacteria, that is Enterobius histolyticus and one example which causes dysentery. Maybe dysentery. Then food allergies. Food allergies is the defense mechanism by the body. When we consume any allergic foods, it is excreted from the body by diarrhea. Then drugs is also same as the allergies. Drugs which are not acceptable to our body is rejected from the body through our excreta. Then psychological factor. In the psychological factor, when we are disturbed, when we are very much stressed, some irritable bowel syndromes can be developed which causes diarrhea. So when we are highly irritated, when highly sensitive, highly tense, our digestive systems get disturbed and it may lead to diarrhea, and that condition is known as irritable bowel syndrome. Then types of diarrhea. There are two types of diarrhea, acute and the chronic diarrhea. Acute diarrhea is a short duration diarrhea. It lasts for 1 or 2 days. This may be caused by having stale foods or that is affected by the bacteria. In this case, water electrolyte balance is disturbed because of the excess of loss of water from the body, and the excess loss may cause dehydration. Then chronic diarrhea is a long duration diarrhea that lasts several weeks. This is caused by irritable bowel syndrome or by an intestinal diseases or infections. It lasts for a longer time, so we have to provide adequate nutrients through the diet. Otherwise, there is a chances to develop deficiencies. Symptoms of diarrhea: loose water stools, abdominal pain, fever, vomiting and weakness in the body, bloody stools, headaches, fast heart rate, having dry skin. These are the symptoms of diarrhea. Symptoms may likely change between person to person and the diarrhea conditions. Nutritional requirement of a diarrhea patient: all nutrients are needed in higher amount except fat and fiber. Treatment will depend on the symptoms, age, severity, and the general health. In most cases, we have to, in all of the cases, we have to replace fluid with electrolyte. The nutrient requirement: calorie is higher due to the energy expenditure. So calorie requirements increase easily digestible carbohydrate foods are provided for the patient. Proteins are lost considerable amount during diarrhea, so sufficient amount of protein is required. Then lipids are completely restricted to the diarrhea patient because of the digestive disturbances. our digestive system is disturbed, so at that time it is incapable of digesting fats. Vitamin deficiency can occur by fat soluble vitamins are excreted to the liquid portions, so there is a chance to develop water soluble vitamins. Minerals are also water soluble. The major minerals are the sodium and the potassium. These are considerably lost during the diarrhea and loss of appetite, vomiting and restlessness, loss of flexibility in the muscles of and especially the alimentary canal, etc. are the causes of lead by the sodium and potassium deficiency. This can be maintained by giving fruit juices, tender coconut water, rice grover, and ORS. ORS is the oral rehydration solution. Then water, it is very important to make up the deficiency of water. So patients should be given liberal amounts of liquid. It can be mineral water, juices, soups, lemon water, barley, ORS, etc. Major points should be considered while planning a diet. First point and the foremost important point is the small amount of food should be given at regular intervals. Avoid use of extremely hot and cold foods. Food should be simple, easily digestible and without spices. Fried, fibrous food should be avoided. Full liquid should be given in the beginning. After improvement, patient's condition, semi-liquid diet can be given. After considerable improvement, soft foods and easily digestible soft foods can be provided. Should be provided normal diet by the improvement in this condition. Next is the fever condition. All of you know this fever. Fever is the increase in the body temperature. There is increase in the rate of metabolic activities during fever. Fever is the result between the imbalance between the heat produced and heat eliminated in the body. It is most probably it is a symptom, not a disease. Then types of fever, there are 3 types of fever: short duration fever, long duration fever, and intermittent fever. From the name itself, we can define it. Short duration fever has a short duration, and it is found common between common cold, cough, throat infection, etc. Long duration fevers last for longer time with a high temperature. Tuberculosis is an example. Then intermittent fever occurs at intervals. Malaria and typhoid are example for that. Nutrition during fever, as we said earlier, it demands higher amount of calorie. The calorie is calculated as based on this 1 degree Fahrenheit rise in temperature requires certain percentage of increase in the calorie requirement. Energy stored as glycogen in the body, which is depleted in fever, so calorie requirement increases more than 50%. Loss of tissues in fever leads to increased demand of proteins around 100 grams. Then decomplexed vitamins are needed to metabolize the increased carbohydrates and proteins. Vitamin C included to develop the immunity. At the time of fever, acute deficiency of water and minerals occur due to excessive sweating and urination, which demands more water and minerals. Sodium and potassium were provided through juices to maintain electrolyte base, as all these are discussed earlier. High calorie, high protein, high vitamin, high mineral diet with liberal water intake is recommended for the fever patient. Digestion is disturbed in fever, so we have to prepare easily digestible food, especially steamed foods. Steamed and boiled foods can also be included, but doesn't include fried foodstuffs. Diet planning: small amounts of food should be given to the fever patient in short intervals because of loss of appetite and the physical disturbances. The patient must be given full diet by all possible means, otherwise he will become weak. The patient suffering from fever should be given liquid, semi-liquid or soft and easily digestible food according to his condition. Low fiber diet without spices may be given to the patient without fat. Diet in fever for long duration. This diet recommendation are almost same as the fever condition, but it is for long duration, so we must take into considerations the duration. So we have to provide a highly balanced diet, but it must be easily digestible and consumable for the fever patient. During high fever tuberculosis, liquid diet rich in protein and calories should be given to the patient. Calcium is very important for healing up of wounds in tuberculosis. So higher calcium demands high. Intake of iron should be increased if blood is in the sputum. In tuberculosis, carotene, that is vitamin A, precursor of vitamin A, is not converted into vitamin A in the body, that is retinol, found in animal foods. Therefore, food containing more vitamin A and less carotene should be included in the diet, such as the liver and the organ meats are rich in vitamin A or the retinol. It is the absorbable form in our body. Vitamin A present in the vegetables or vegetable or the plant foods are in the form of carotene, which is converted to vitamin A or retinol and absorbed by the body. And this ability slows down during the fever condition, long-term fever, especially in the tuberculosis condition. So we should provide vitamin A in the form of retinol or vitamin A itself, that is in the animal form. Vitamin D is important because calcium is very important during the condition to heal the wounds. So as the calcium requirement increases for the metabolism of calcium, vitamin D is needed. So vitamin D increases due to the calcium increase in the calcium. Vitamin C increased to improve immunity, and B complex is increased due to the higher amount of energy or carbohydrate foods providing for the fever patient. Diet and nutrition related problems. Until then, we had talked about the fever and diarrhea, that is a infection that may occur due to infections or other imbalance in our body. But in these cases, it is the diet related diseases because we are consuming higher amounts of nutrients or the lower amount of nutrients, which may lead to deficiencies or excess nutrient problems. So this is the diet and nutrition related problems. Dietary practice of children and adolescents affect the risk for a number of health problems, as we discussed earlier in the fatty and the fast foods, including obesity and deficiency anemia and other deficiency diseases. Inadequate nutrition also lowers resistance to infectious diseases and may adversely affect the ability to function at peak mental and physical ability. Inadequate intakes of nutrients will be reflected in slow growth rates, delayed sexual maturation, inadequate bone mass, and low body reserves of micronutrients. First deficiency disease, nutrient related problem is the obesity. All of you know the obesity is increasing drastically in our country. Obesity is a state in which there is a generalized accumulation of excess adipose tissue in the body, leading to more than 20% of the desirable weight. There are ideal height and weight, all of you studied in the first year. So when the weight is increased than the normal, it causes obesity. Obesity is a consequence of an energy imbalance where energy intake has exceeded energy expenditure over a considerable period of time. Obesity is associated with a number of immediate health risks such as high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, it is lifestyle related diabetes, metabolic syndrome, sleep disturbance, orthopedic problems, and psychosocial problems. Obese adolescents are likely to remain overweight during adulthood also. This is the how you can assess you are obese or not. You already studied about the BMI, weight in kg divided by height in meter square. So when the BMI ranges below 18.5, it is underweight. 18.5 to 22.9 is a normal weight. 23 to 27.5 is overweight, and 27.6 to 39.9 is known as obese, and above 40 and above is morbidly obese, and it is a drastic condition. So it's for Asians and the non-Asians this is given. Based on this, we have assessed you are obese or not. The calculation is take your weight in kilograms and height in meter square. If it is in centimeter, you are converted to meter, and this square divided you will get the BMI, and BMI range is compared with this chart to find out you are obese or not. Causes of obesity. Genetic factors. Certain genetic factors is there to determine your obesity or your body weight gain. Then physiological factors. Physical lack of exercise and all these things are may cause obesity. Then dietary factors. High carbohydrate, high fat intake may lead to obesity. Physical activity, lack of physical activities, lack of exercises, lack of doing household works all lead to obesity. Then psychological factors, high intake of food, or when we are psychologically distressed we take more food. Some people, all this may lead to obesity. Then socio-cultural influences. Due to the social status, as you are consuming KFC's, pizzas, all these are based on the social mannerisms. I looked at like that. Many of them are not, if they doesn't like these things, but they consuming as a social status symbol. So it is the major factor in this era to create obesity among the adolescents, especially adolescents. Then endocrine factors, the problem of metabolizing the fat content is also a risky factor to cause obesity. Then nutritional requirements. Energy, 1 kg of adipose tissue provides around 7,000 kilocalories. Hence, a decrease in 1,000 kilocalories daily is required to lose about 1 kg a week. When we are decreasing 1,000 kilocalories, the adipose tissue is used for the energy purposes. So there is a chance to decrease in the weight by 1 kg per week. Carbohydrates, 60 to 65% of total calories should be provided by carbohydrates. The total calorie requirement, that from which 60 to 65% should be provided through the by the carbohydrate foods. Simple sugar should be completely avoided, and liberal amount of dietary fiber is provided to give bulk as well as the satiety value. Protein, it is advisable to give higher protein level, because when we are reducing the carbohydrates, protein has also the energy giving purposes. So protein can be utilized for the energy purposes. When we are reducing carbohydrate considerably, protein is increased to meet the BMR or the basal metabolic rate. It needs certain minimum energy requirement that can be met by increasing the protein in the diet. 15 to 20% of total energy should be provided by fats. Total visible fat intake recommended per day is 10 gram or the 2 teaspoons. Minerals and vitamins. Reducing diet should provide adequate amount of essential nutrients like minerals and vitamins to maintain good nutritional status. The carbohydrates we are consuming is a major source of vitamins and minerals. It contains very slight amounts, but we are consuming it in bulk. It is a major source of providing us with vitamins and minerals. When we are reducing the carbohydrate considerably, we should have to increase the vitamin and mineral content by having more fruits and vegetables. And it's also the importance of fruits and vegetable consuming for the obesity person. It is high in fiber. It also gives a feeling of fullness to the person, and at the same time it is provided by vitamins and minerals with low carb. Then water is the key part of any weight loss program. It is very necessary for helping the body to remove fat and for general overall health. So the diet should be low calorie, low fat, high protein, high vitamin, high mineral, high water diet is provided. Diet planning. Obesity can be treated either by reducing energy intake or by increasing energy expenditure, or and by combining both. The desirable rate of weight loss is 0.5 kg per week or 2 to 4 kilograms per month. More weight loss, drastic weight loss will create other health problems to the patient, to the person. It's not a patient. Okay. As it is a long-term diet, the satiety value of diet is extremely important. Long-term diet, so satiety value is more important because they are consuming liberal amounts of food when they are obese. When we are changing the dietary pattern, We have to satisfy the satiety value or the feeling of fullness. Adequate amount of protein foods, fibrous fruits and vegetables, whole grain cereals and pulses provide satiety and adequate nutrients that help to cut down the carbohydrate intake. Then so we have to provide a whole vegetables, fruits, whole green cereals. All these are rich in fiber, which give the satiety value and the nutrients and minerals in them. Vitamins and minerals in them will make up the vitamin mineral deficiencies. A minimum intake of 10 to 12 glasses of water per day is recommended for rehydration and flushing out of toxins. Small frequent meals at regular intervals are advisable here. Obese people should not eat late at night. Dinner should be the smallest meal of the day because during sleeping, fewer calories are burned and much of the food goes in storage as fat. Then the small frequent means the carbohydrate is very low, so it can be stored and it is directly utilized by your body. So it is recommended to give small meals at regular intervals. Next is the anemia condition. All of you know what is an anemia condition. Anemia condition is the condition in which there is a deficiency of hemoglobin content or the hemoglobin has lost its oxygen carrying capacity. Anemia is a condition that develops when blood lacks enough healthy red blood cells for hemoglobin. If the count of RBC is too low or hemoglobin is abnormal or low, the cells of the body will not get enough oxygen. This may cause tiredness. Symptoms of anemia occur because organs are not getting enough oxygen to function properly. Anemia classification, morphological classification is based on the size and the shape of the hemoglobin. Normocytic anemia, invisible the erythrocytes, is normal but occurs due to hemorrhage because of the larger blood loss. The hemoglobin content or the hemoglobin structure is the normal, but there is an abundant blood loss which can cause anemia. This is the same as the anemia, etiological anemia. Last one, anemia due to the excessive loss of red cells due to hemorrhage or hemolysis. Both are the same thing. Then the next is the macrocytic anemia. It is the macro, it means the abnormally large cells. RBC become abnormally large and their oxygen carrying capacity decreases. It is caused by the deficiency of vitamin B12 and folic acid. Then the microcytic anemia, opposite of macrocytic anemia, the erythrocytes is smaller than normal and sometimes containing little hemoglobin. The hemoglobin content is less, so their oxygen carrying capacity decreases. This is a microcytic anemia or normal nutritional anemia or the iron deficiency anemia. This is the etiological anemia. First one, nutritional anemia. This develops because of the inadequate intake of nutrients like iron, vitamin B12 and folic acid. This is both macrocytic and microcytic anemia comes under the etiological nutritional anemia, and the anemia due to excessive loss comes by the normocytic anemia, others say. Then diet planning, that should be alkaline. Emphasis should be on raw fruits and vegetables which are rich in iron and iron-rich vegetables are spinach, onions, carrots, radish, beetroot, celery, yams, tomatoes and potatoes are iron-rich vegetables. These should be provided in liberal amounts. Fruits rich in iron includes bananas, apples, dark grapes, apricots, plums, raisins and strawberries. Bananas are particularly beneficial as they contain folic acid and vitamin B12, both of which are extremely useful in the treatment of anemia. Then other iron-rich food items are whole wheat, brown rice, beans, soya beans, sunflower seeds, molasses, eggs, etc. All these should be provided in liberal amounts in the diet. Vitamin B12 is a must for preventing or curing anemia. This vitamin is usually found in animal protein and especially in organic meats like kidney and liver. Other equally good sources of vitamin B12 are the various dairy products like milk, egg and cheese. Peanuts and soybean also rich in vitamin B12. Vegetarians should include adequate amount of milk products, eggs in their diet. For the prevention of anemia, it is essential to take the entire B complex range, which includes B12 as well as the natural food mentioned above. All liberal intake of ascorbic acid necessary to facilitate absorption of iron. Then beetroot has a special emphasis. Beetroot is incorporated in the diet, which is extremely important in curing anemia. Beetroot contains potassium, phosphorus, calcium, sulfur, iodine, iron, copper, carbohydrates, protein, fat, and vitamins B2, B6, C, P, and niacin. With its high iron content, beetroot juices regenerates and reactivates the red blood cells and supplies the body with fresh oxygen. So, beetroot is an important diet consideration during anemia. Then the chapter is closing here. By when we conclude, we can just go through the portions we have discussed earlier. In this, we discussed about the diet therapy, therapeutic diets, and the diet modifications, both quantitative and qualitative modifications of the diet. Then the diet for different disease conditions such as fever and diarrhea, and the nutritional conditions such as obesity and anemia, and then diet